question and answers. And that's Bil Hodge, who is at the time the West Thurrock Power Station steward. Yeah. Now I've been very careful how I said that because there was another power station in Tilbury which wasn't the same sort of thing. So after you.
Thanks, Rachel. Well, I worked at Tilbury for a while. Thankfully, time of dispute, I was in Thurrock. And I was a shop steward there and was an assistant unit operator. That means that my role was on the generation side, working on turbines, auxiliaries, wall boilers and all that stuff. And there were a number of key factors, 3 key factors I think, in our activity at Tilbury. Tilbury have burnt old socks if you let them, I'll tell you. One of the factors was the shift I was on, C shift, was extremely political. On that shift was an ex-communist, ex-WRP member of the SWP, me on the left of the Labour Party, and here comes a second factor, a member of the National Front was on our shift. So you can imagine there was high-level debate and much discontent. However, he, our National Front friend, left our shift, perhaps because we kept battering him politically, I suppose, and he went on worked on a jetty which offloads the coal. He was then elected as shop steward. I can tell you that when the disputes started, as long as he was on the jetty, no coal was offloaded from the ships. Now, leopards don't change their spots because they're leopards, but some people can change. And so perhaps our heated discussions had some impact on him because that was a major factor. The next thing was our role on the generation side, assistant unit operators. We're responsible for checking all plant. At the beginning of the shift, you check all plant and then you just respond to emergencies, alarms and the requests of the operator in the control room. It became quite apparent that they were pretty well prepared to take on the NUN, State, and Thatcher. Now, I recognise much has been said about the police, the way that they were given a nice fat pay rise, all the overtime they got. In addition to that, they were subsidising the nuclear industry as well. However, we didn't think they'd taken the point they did. Because, for example, they introduced propane plant. Now, you can't function in a coal-fired power station without propane. It's impossible. In a dispute before, mind you, I think it's 1974 before that, wasn't it, Paul? Yeah. In the 1974 dispute, pickets from the power station turned the propane away. Additionally, they introduced what was called oil overburn. I'll explain it. And both of these events were a couple of years before dispute, so we're getting ready quite early on. Overburn is on the boiler front. These boilers are big as a block of flats. They're huge, and they've got lines of heavy oil lances that you fire into a furnace, and then you apply the PF. PF is pulverised fuel. It's very, very, very finely ground coal, very volatile. Handful thrown up in the air and ignited, it'll have the roof off. Very volatile. So before firing in the PF, you add the lances that were ignited by propane and fire in heavy oil. What overburn did was it substantially increased the amount of heavy oil you could fire into the furnace, substantially. Effectively, it was a replacement for pulverised fuel. Importantly, pneumatic valves were not fitted, because if you've got pneumatic valves, you can operate them from control room remotely. They had hand valves on them, silly billies, because we were asked to open them, and we didn't. So they weren't going to get their extra oil. Now, we refused to do that, and it was much to the annoyance of the newly installed station manager. I don't know if he was sent in there as a tough guy or what. We got that impression. He weren't that tough, I can tell you. Very, very powerful, influential role, power station manager. While I was off shift, he decided to go and put the bite on my members, try and persuade them or cajole them into opening the overburn. When I came on shift, I happened to meet him in the control room. So I want to word with you. And I told him that he could have the distinction, if he wanted, of making Thatcher eat her words. Because don't forget, she said there will be no power cuts. I said, now if you put the pressure on my members, I'll go to every power station in the country and it will become a dispute with the power workers. Not just the NUM, but the power workers. And you, my friend, can make her eat her words. If you fancy that. He said you couldn't. So I don't know, perhaps I could. Perhaps I could. He left him alone after that, by the way. In addition to the workplace activity, we're involved in all sorts of stuff in our communities, setting up minor support stalls. We had meetings at the Pixie Leisure Centre, dressing meetings of all sorts, and of course there was demonstrations at West Thurrock Power Station, huge demonstrations. It was a time I thought everything was possible. I really was very optimistic trade unionist and socialist. I was wrong, but it's not too late. We've got plenty of time, there's plenty of us here, aren't there? Yeah. I should let me just mention Neil Kinnock. Sweetheart. Really, lovely boy. Well, he came to the Pixie Leisure Centre and he was part of the process of trying to undermine the NUM in a very serious way. Yeah. He was part of the state, for goodness sake. Yeah. The day arrived when the miners returned to work. I think it's a Sunday. Was it a Sunday? Was it?
The decision was a Sunday. The decision was a Sunday, but they went Tuesday.
Right. Anyway, I was on shift and we were instructed again to put the overburn on, all overburn. No one on shift would do it until I did it. I refused. I take no pride in that. Throughout most of that dispute, I was just bloody terrified. I had 2 little kids, I could have lost my job like that. Anyway, I went up, I turned the all overburn on, and I could tell you it's one of the saddest days. It really was. I was almost like a baby on that burn front. And then I could see the ships coming across from the other side of the Thames to offload their coal. Dreadful day, dreadful day. But I acknowledge it was a small contribution we made to the dispute. We shut down one power station, but it was a contribution. And if that had gone further, needed about 2 or 3 power stations to go down, and that would have been it. Thatcher buried, NUM successful, and our class victorious. Because what they've done to them, the damage that it caused the miners, their families, their communities, the impact of it continues today. You know that, I don't tell you that. So, I acknowledge it was limited, but it was the best we could do at the time. Thank you.